backfield, you maybe don't see the whole picture quite as well, type of thing. But I think hopefully it's allowed him to have some more time to really focus on the coordinating.
Thanks, Matt.
Alrighty, let's go next to Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Matt, we've just been trying to figure out exactly who's been working out where at some of those spots, just because there seems to be sometimes some crossover and sometimes not. Who right now is in the mix at slot cornerback? And is there still a big differentiation in your mind between someone like Lathan Ransom, who will, was playing nickel last year? Can he be involved at slot corner? Do you still see, is there a big difference between those two positions?
And this is not the answer that you guys are going to want to hear, but we're so far from a depth chart right now, so far from locking guys into positions. I mean, you can ask the players. I mean, we don't even watch defenses when we meet. We just watch techniques and we teach concepts. And, like right now, Lathan has played every position in the secondary this spring, and he's not the only one. It's really just an emphasis in effort, technique, concepts, rather than honing in right now. And I guess it's April now, but we got a long way to go before we got to line up and have a game plan and go play the game. So right now it's concepts, it's techniques. It's becoming great football players.
Alrighty, next we'll go to Bill Landis from The Athletic.
Hey, Matt. I guess along those same lines, like where has Cam Martinez been working? Like he seems like a guy has a skill set that can move around to a bunch of spots too. Just what are his strengths right now, and what do you like? What do you like from what you've seen from him?
Well, I'll tell you this about Cam Martinez: you can't sit in a meeting without hearing great things about him right now. Whether that's strength and conditioning, our nutritionist brags about him, our training staff brags about him. I just 5 minutes ago walked out of a special teams meeting where Coach Fleming was bragging on how well he's done in special teams. Cam has really, really put his head down and gone to work since this past season ended, and he's got to be one of the most improved guys so far that we've seen. He's played inside, he's played outside. He'll play true safety for us. Again, we're really just diving into techniques and concepts right now.
All right, we'll go next to Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Matt.
Bill,
you have everyone has a different personality than Kerry, I guess. He's just so kind of electric out there. You have a more, I think, understated style. How does that? How would you compare your style? And is that kind of a weird thing to know that the guy that you're, I don't want to say replacing, because I was still there, has a very different style. And how would you describe your style with the players?
Well, let me brag on Kerry's style for a minute, man. I admire his energy. I admire, he sees everything in practice. He's all over it. He's unbelievable. He does a fantastic job. And I'm with you. I'm probably a bit more reserved. I'm a little bit more animated maybe on the practice field. But I think we work really well together. I think we play off of each other. You asked about my style. My style is more matter of fact. I just want you to get my corrections, and I don't want, I want you to hear what I'm saying and not necessarily how I'm saying it. So I just want to make sure that I'm communicating as clearly as I can.
All righty, next up, we'll go to Patrick Murphy. Patrick.
Hey, Matt. One of the things Ryan made very clear to us was continuity with promoting you and promoting Parker. He talked about the special teams and keeping language all the same. I'm just curious how you have gone about that and what that process has been like from your perspective after we kind of heard Ryan harp on it a little bit early on in the spring.
Yeah, and I wish you guys could have just been in our special teams meeting. It was elite. It was one of the best meetings that I've ever been in. I think Parker Fleming is an outstanding football coach. I don't think he's good. I don't think he's great. I think he's elite. That's kind of been something that maybe is a little bit different that we do here. 2 years ago, I really tried to emphasize, and it's just kind of gain momentum. And Parker's really taken it and run with it. It's sort of just learning football through the kicking game. It's not punt, it's not punt block, it's not kickoff, it's not kickoff return. It's football. avoiding a block is avoiding a block. It doesn't matter where that block occurs, whatever it may be. So we're really just trying to learn the game, through kicking, and Parker's done an outstanding job. And that's something that's come from the top down with Coach Day, is making sure that we're speaking the same language. And again, it just goes in course with concept teaching, and it's really difficult, I think, as a player to learn, 1,000 different scenarios. But if we can boil them down to, 10, 15, 20 different situations that a player would find himself in, whether it's offense, defense, or kicking game, then I think you've got a chance to take those coaching points and apply them.
Next, we'll go to Tony Gerdeman, Buckeye Scoop. Tony.
Hey, Matt, we talked a week or so ago, and you mentioned the bullet. And I'm wondering how much you expect the bullet to be involved in the defense this year, and who's getting some time there. Have you guys even gotten to that point yet in spring?
Yeah, Tony, great question. We're sort of working through it. Again, it's really the emphasis right now. And I know everybody wants to know scheme in depth, and I believe me, I get it. And we'll be there. When we go play Minnesota, obviously we're going to have to put a first group out there and decide what personnel we want on the field. But is it bullet or is it a Sam? Hard to say. I don't know. It is what it is right now. It's this guy or that guy, depending. But that's, right now our emphasis is playing blocks, running to the ball, tackling, those types of things. So yeah, we want to have the flexibility to be multiple when we need to be multiple. But right now it's really just about playing the game and developing.
Alrighty, next up, Austin Ward, Letterman Row.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, Austin.
With what, Ryan Watts and Legend missed, I guess, from just the challenges of last year, how significant is that in your mind? What exactly did they, maybe miss out on, and what does that mean for taking them or getting them up to speed this spring?
Austin, that's such a great question. And, I think to highlight, pardon me, you can tell spring ball is starting to catch up with me a little bit, but just to highlight those two guys, I don't think, I think you could really group, you put the whole team in that. There's a handful of guys that are really, really veteran guys that maybe didn't need quite as much development, but really it's a young roster, young team. And in our room and every room, there's so many guys that missed out on the opportunity to develop last spring and into through the summer because it was just so unorthodox with COVID. So, and I keep coming back to its concepts, its techniques, its effort, it's playing the game, and that's not my thing. That's from Coach Day, and that's why, because we missed out on so much of that time that we'll get the scheme. You can teach scheme in on the board and in meetings and through film. You can teach scheme. But how do you teach a guy to get off a block? You put him in a situation where he's got to get off a block. I mean, there's no substitute for putting your hands on somebody and getting off a block. So yeah, it's not just those two guys. It's the whole roster that really missed a lot of that development. So we're really concentrated, focused on developing those guys, all these guys.
All right, next up, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Matt, before you took over this job back when you were the assistant defensive backs coach and special teams coach, how involved were you in the defensive back recruiting in comparison to what you are obviously now? I know Jansen Dunn was completely you, but outside of that, how involved were you?
One thing I think we do a great job of here is sort of recruiting as a team, as a program. So for me to sit here and say I recruited, even Jansen Dunn, I mean, I'd love to sit here and say I did this, I did that. I didn't. I played a role in it. But one, the program sells itself. Two, if you sit down on the couch with Coach Day and have a conversation, you would want to be a Buckeye as well. He's an unbelievable human being. Again, the place sells itself. Coach Combs is arguably one of the greatest recruiters in college football history. So, I think one of the things that I do well is realize who I am, and I'm not super well known and those types of things. And I'm okay with that. So what I try to do is facilitate a lot of conversation with people who are, a little bit more brand recognizable and those types of things. I make emphasis where I can make emphasis. But you know, if I'm involved in recruiting a defensive lineman, I'm going to Larry Johnson. You know, and I could care less if I get a tick mark on the internet for it or not. If it's a guy I think can help our program, I'm going to do whatever I can do to get him. And frequently for me, that entails involving other members of our program.
All righty, this will be the last question for Coach because we got Josh Proctor ready for you. So we'll go to Brendan Gulag. Brendan.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, Brandon.
Hey, curious how much time, or maybe time's not the right word, how much you enjoy and relish the teaching aspect of this time of year. You made it pretty clear that it's a lot about techniques. It's a lot about, working with certain guys on fundamental stuff. How much of that part of your job is really fun for you and something you look forward to?
Man, what a great question, Brendan. I've just about every day that I've gone home, my wife has asked me, how's your day? And I'm like, just glowing, man. I just love it. I love the season. I love to compete. I love the game plan. But it's a different time right now. There's not as much pressure. It's not as game plan oriented. It's just about the game. And man, you don't know a guy that loves the game more than I do. So for me, just to right now focus on teaching the game. Like, I love football. I love to teach the game. And you can ask JP when he gets up here, man. We watch very few plays. We really do. Everything is concepts and techniques. And I really, really take a lot of pride in my teaching and in setting up my meetings and trying to be creative and engaging in those types of things. So yeah, great question. But I to say that I've enjoyed it would be drastically understating it. So
great.
Hey, can we get if I don't know how to mute myself, but if Jeremy's got a question, I'd like to answer his question if we can.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Thanks, Matt. My question is about Denzel Burke. I mean, we talk about Cam Martinez and the development from a year ago to now, from a kid who played offense primarily in high school to playing the defensive backfield. Denzel was a wide receiver for the most part at Saguaro and played a little bit of DB. Coming in early with some guys that maybe would be in the rotation not going this spring. How important has it been for Denzel, and what have you guys seen out of him?
It's actually uncanny how natural he does a lot of things at corner for not having played there very much. I don't know if it's 7-on-7 development or he just had a trainer or somebody that he worked with, but he does a lot of things naturally very well. It's been fun to watch. He has elite feet, footwork, and patience that you don't see from many people, regardless of their age, but particularly for a young guy to sit at the line of scrimmage and have the patience that he has to play press technique and some other techniques that you wouldn't. He looks seasoned. I'll put it that way, JB. He's done. He's been a very, not that we're surprised, but I am to a degree. Just kind of blown away by how far along he looks at times. Now, he's still got a long way to go. Don't get me wrong, but he looks pretty natural in there. So really excited about him.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Coach Barnes. Really appreciate your time.
Got it.
And we'll bring in Josh Proctor here in just a second. Yeah, just take yourself off mute there. Yep, there you go. All right, folks. Say hello to Josh Proctor. We'll start out this round with Tony Girdman, Buckeye Scoop.
Can you describe the teaching sessions with Matt Barnes? He said it's just so much looking at concepts and technique for no plays.
Basically, I think the biggest change right now is just like the extra details, like being detailed in everything we do, as far as like footwork and the way we may flip our hips or stuff like that. And just really just breaking down the game and making sure like we understand what we need to do and when we need to do it.
Alrighty, next we'll go to Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Josh, how much more comfortable do you feel back there at safety, and just where do you feel you've made the most strides at that position in the last year?
I'd say I'm pretty comfortable. I'm confident in what I do and my abilities, and I know I work hard. So I'm very comfortable back there. And what was the other question you had? I'm sorry.
It was just where do you think you've kind of made the biggest improvement back there from? Obviously, you guys didn't get a full spring last year and shortened season. So just kind of where do you feel you've maybe improved the most?
I think I've improved the most. I kind of like slowed everything down for myself. I'm a player. I get excited sometimes. My eyes get going everywhere and I start thinking about it a lot, but I think I've slowed down. I've improved on my leadership. I bring the younger guys along, like trying to help them out and just basically just being that leader, like taking over that role.
All right, we'll go next to Tim May. Tim.
Yeah, Josh, how long did it take you guys as a group to kind of get over that Alabama game? And what do you sense is going to just be different about you guys as a group going into this season, especially this spring and stuff? What have you noted that's a lot different? I mean, some of you guys are much older and wiser than you were this time a year ago, obviously.
I feel like coming into these workouts, we've kind of came in with a chip on our shoulder. I wouldn't say everybody has let that game go, but I feel like that's pushed us a lot, and that's still something that's in the back of our heads every day. So we just go out and work.
All right, next up, Austin Ward, Leonard Monroe.
Josh, early on in camp, Kerry was talking about you just getting to play at that high safety and maybe stay there. Do you really think that you'll finally get to stay at a position for an extended period of time? And if so, what do you think that'll mean for you?
I think so. I think it'll mean just basically getting used to that one spot, and I can actually sit and learn what I need to learn. But as far as moving around in other spots, I mean, I'm still the same person. Wherever you need me, like I'll be there. Like it doesn't matter.
All righty, next we'll go to Stephen Meads, Cleveland.com.
Josh, now that Matt Barnes has been promoted and Kerry Combs is mostly just a defensive coordinator, kind of a two-part question. Or one, how much is Kerry Combs still kind of in your guys' room throughout the week? But then also, I guess, what are some of the difficulties? I think this is your fourth, technically secondaries coach since you've been here. So I don't know what are the difficulties. You have to get used to a new guy pretty much every year.
I don't think it's pretty much of a big change. It's really just Coach Barnes just kind of taking over the role as explaining. Like, I feel like he's better at explaining stuff to us, kind of. He can break things down in different ways. But Coach Combs, he's still very much a part of everything we do. He doesn't miss anything. So.
All righty, next we'll go to Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Josh. I think from the time you got here, you were pegged as a guy who was, a potential star. And obviously you played well. But I was assuming that there are things that you've looked back on your career and thought, maybe a missed interception or things like that. How would you kind of describe the arc of your career? And how much did you spend a lot of time with the jugs machine in the offseason?
I spent quite a bit. I know everything I need to work on, but my biggest thing this year is really just working on improving like consistency, being consistent with everything I do.
Okay, thank you.
All righty, we'll go next to Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Yeah, Josh, to follow up on that, what are the things you feel like you can do to improve upon your consistency? What are the things that will help you make sure you're always in the right position?
Communication, staying in the film room, just learning everything I can, take as much as I can away from Coach Barnes.
All righty, next up, Patrick Murphy, 247.
Josh, we've heard a lot about Latham this offseason, and obviously we saw him at the end of the season, come in some big moments. What have you seen? How is he developing, and what kind of player can he be for you guys next year?
He's actually developing pretty fast. He's going to be a guy I feel like a lot of people are going to hear about next year. Like even after last year, yeah, he played a bit at the end of the season, but I feel like that kind of boosted his confidence, and he kind of came into this offseason also improving stuff and with that chip on his shoulder, wanting to be better.
All right, we'll go next to Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Josh, last season, you were kind of in the same position as far as maybe being that starting free safety, and the coaching staff went with somebody else in that position, and someone else who was getting the bulk of those snaps. Did that experience? What did you learn from that, and did it give you any indication of what areas of your game needed to change or improve or be refined, whatever, in order for you to now take that job this year?
Like I said earlier, I think it was really just being consistent and always being in the right spot and knowing what I'm supposed to do and not trying to make that big play or do everything by myself, really.
All righty, we'll go next to Spencer Holbrook from Leonard Monroe.
Josh, it seemed like last season you guys in the secondary just maybe missing a piece. How much did not having like a Jordan Fuller back there affect you guys? And do you feel like you guys have what was missing last year kind of figured out and you guys are going to be able to get it together this year?
I feel like it had a lot to do with like our communication and just like our chemistry with each other. Feel like communication goes a big way. And sometimes like, yeah, you know your job, but if you don't know what the other person's supposed to be doing, or you don't know what the whole point of the defense may be, I think just breaking those things down and actually learning those things kind of helped us improve this year. And that was our biggest difference from last year. Last year just kind of seemed like everything was moving so fast. Dealing with Corona, I mean, not knowing who you're going to have the next week or the next day. So everything was just kind of felt weird.
All righty. Josh, thank you very much for your time. We got Marcus Williamson ready for everyone, so we appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. We got Marcus Williamson here for you, and we'll start out Marcus with Tim May from Leonard Monroe. Tim.
Marcus, how much more of an enlightened defensive player are you now compared to this time a year ago?
I'm sorry, there's a little background noise. Could you repeat?
Yeah, I said, how much more of an enlightened defensive player are you now compared to this time a year ago? And where do you see yourself kind of fitting in this revamped sort of secondary?
Enlightened. I like that word. I've been in this program a little while, of course. And, as you practice and you go through things, you learn different defenses, different schemes. You get a great sense of football, but until you step out on that field and really take in that game experience, it's hard to really see where you need to improve, how you fit into the defense, what your limitations are. And so just being able to have that experience last year, as crazy as 2020 was, I'd say I'm a lot more enlightened in that sense. So just being able to take that information from last year and just craft myself into the football player I want to be this year has been great. So,
all righty, we'll go next to Jeremy Birmingham. Jeremy.
Marcus, how important has this spring been for you and Josh as sort of the old guys in the room now, with so many young guys that have not played? I mean, it seems like the story of your upcoming season almost gets written right now, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'd say, and this is a emphasis really from Coach Barnes and along with Coach Combs, is that we really wanted to, bring back that BIA mentality, that culture. And we've got so many young and inexperienced guys that even if they were here last year, you didn't have that full offseason with Coach Mick, that spring ball, that, all those push-ups and sit-ups we do preparing for the Team Up North game. Like, you didn't have those experiences. And so being able to, bring that mindset to the practice field has been a benefit to me and Josh and some of the older guys and the younger guys as well, so that they can see how, how we do things and how we operate the right way here. And so I think that's been a big focus for us is just mindset and culture. And I think it's translating. And I think we've seen a lot of improvement top to bottom. And it's really exciting to see. So thanks.
All right, we'll go next to Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus District.
Hi, Marcus. Could you kind of compare and contrast the styles, both in style and substance, with Kerry Combs now to Matt Barnes?
Right. Actually, more similar than you'd think. I find myself sometimes watching tape, and you'll see like the end zone copy, and they're both doing like the same celebration, or they're the same kind of coaching style. So you see kind of similarities in how they coach. They're very energetic and juice kind of guys, I guess that we like to say around here. And I think with Coach Barnes, and he's had the time, this spring, which we of course missed last year, is to really just take the technique and the details of football specifically. When you get into camp and the season, and just the weird year that we had last year, a lot of the focus had to be on scheme, personnel, but now we're just really focused on becoming better football players, and I think that's really what Coach Barnes is passionate about, and it's really been shown in how we've been practicing and how we've been performing. So thanks for that.
All righty, next up, we'll go to Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Marcus, I guess, where are you working right now? Any specific places in this defense, and any place where you kind of think that you can contribute the best to this team?
Right. So I've been focusing almost exclusively in the slot. If you watched any last year, I think my role is sort of morphed into more of a safety role last year. I've definitely been working more in the slot this year and trying to really just hone my coverage skills as well as the physicality aspect of football. I've taken this time during spring to really just focus on my strength, tackling, block destruction, all the details of being a defensive player that I think we can all improve on. And so just trying to bring that physicality back to the position and coverage skills, and use my skill set to the best of my ability. So that's been my focus this spring, and hopefully moving forward towards the season and the rest of this offseason. So thank you.
Next up, Austin Ward, Leonard Monroe.
Hey, Marcus, as you mentioned, you've been around a long time. You've seen some really good BIA units. And then last year, we understand the excuses of what it may have made it challenging, but as a veteran and having seen both things, how much conversation is there about what happened with the pass defense and the national ranking for that last year? And what is that like in that meeting room to try and reestablish that culture?
I can say as a program, as a defense, as a unit, and even personally, we've all, taken the approach of just getting better every single day. Some guys call it, the 1%, getting that 1% or finding that inch every day. But just really bringing that, that mindset is how we've been able to approach, not really looking back. And I can say, just as a unit, this is one of the most talented, if not the most talented, defensive back unit that I've seen since I've been here. Seems like these coaches out recruit themselves every year, and it's great to see the talent, the explosion, and just the skill set that these guys have. And so, like I mentioned earlier, just trying to bring that mindset of BIA back to the room that has so much talent. I think we're definitely breeding something special, and just looking forward to 2021. 2020 was 2020, but it's the same guys in that room, and we're just improving every day, and I think it's going to show.
Alrighty, next up, Tony Gerdeman, Buckeye Scoop.
Marcus, you've got 3 quarterbacks on this team who've never thrown a pass in college ball.
Yeah.
What you've seen from them, and how confident you guys are that you've got something there?
Like I mentioned about the DB room, you look at, really across the board, these coaches are recruiting their ass off, man. And so, you look over there and the way these quarterbacks sling the ball, just seeing their improvement day to day, it's really exciting. I'm sure I can't, give any specifics, but I've been really impressed, with the growth of these young guys, especially with them not having any game experience, like you said, and just taking that step every day, man. Just every day working to get better. This was today, April 1st, man. We kick off, in September, so just taking that step, man. It's been great to see. So I'm excited for those guys to see what they do.
All righty, we'll go next to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors.
Hey, Marcus, you mentioned you're playing almost exclusively in the slot. Lathan Ransom played some there last year, too. How do you think you two can complement each other in the secondary this year?
Yeah, we talk about that a lot. Lathan is a guy that came in really more ready than I've seen a lot of defensive backs. He has a very professional mindset in how he approaches the game. He's always asking questions, and we're able to bounce things off of each other. And so I'm not sure how to work out this season. I'm sure the coaches will have a plan, but I've really just been impressed with the steps Lathan's taken and how eager he is to just learn and get better. So like I said, it'll be up to the coaches how that works out, but his skill set is something that definitely can be used and needs to be used. So we'll see. Thanks, Dan.
All righty, next we'll go to Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Marcus, you said you work exclusively at the slot corner spot. There's an opening on the outside. Did you ever have discussions with coaches or talk about playing on the outside? And if not, what do you feel you kind of like best about the slot?
To answer your question directly, no, there hasn't really been any conversation. But just from a personal standpoint, I really wanted to take this spring to focus, on my man-to-man coverage and my coverage specifically. And so, a lot of drills I do slide out to the outside, and I play corner for since 8th grade. It's fun being out there on that island, and getting that feeling again of really just being the man across from you. Sometimes you get in the slot, you might have help, or in the post or in the slot, but you're on that edge, it's you and that receiver, man. And so trying to bring that mindset to my man-to-man coverage and my skill set has been really beneficial, I think. And so continuing to work that skill set, even if it doesn't happen this year, maybe in the future, just having that versatility which I believe is to play all 5 positions in the defensive backfield. So, yeah, it's been great for me.
All right, we'll do 2 more. We'll go to Patrick Murphy first. Patrick.
Marcus, you told us, I think it was during the playoff, that you were coming back this year. Obviously, you have things you want to accomplish. You mentioned cover skills and things like that. But what was your driving force, and how are you working to achieve what you want in this extra year you get here?
My driving force. It was actually, I was having this conversation, with myself today. I know that sounds kind of weird, but just constantly asking yourself, what's that motivation? What's that driving force? And I think in the past, really the last couple of years, it was, fear of being injured. That was kind of my driving force in the off season. It's like, okay, I'm gonna put this extra time in the weight room because, I can't have another injury. I can't afford to be injured. Like my clock's ticking. And I think now it's just from a standpoint of just wanting to improve, wanting to get better. When you have that mindset of, I've got this goal, X, Y, and Z, life doesn't work out that way. I'm sure every guy that steps in this program, they want to be, top 10 draft pick. They want to have all these accolades, player of the year, whatever that may be. And so for me, it's just been waking up every day and getting better. How much can I improve in this area, that area, in this area? And I think I've really just seen myself take off in the last few months since the season's ended. Just having that mindset and that approach to this year. And it's been great. And I can't wait to see the results of me doing that. So I'm glad to be back. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a great year.
All right, and we'll wrap Marcus up with Jeremy Birmingham. Jeremy.
Marcus, just to kind of play off that, and this may sound abrasive, but after all the struggles and the self-doubt and all those things over the last few years, why didn't you quit? Who was the person or the people that kind of kept you, dialed in, and how is that experience for you now helping you as a leader with those young guys that we already talked about?
Yeah. It's funny, sometimes I get kind of emotional when I think about it. But I gotta give it all to my parents, man. I was raised in a sports household. If you've seen any like sports movies, I kind of had the crazy sports dad. You're doing this sport this spring, and always working out in the basement. And I think I can really attribute it to wrestling. I kind of think about this all the time, but I grew up wrestling as my first sport. And there's not a lot of glory in wrestling. I remember growing up and, all my friends played basketball. I went to school with Caleb Wesson, Big Hooper, I'm in the back, in the gym, just wrestling, man, just getting better, just having that fight in me. And, I'm sorry, just having that fight in me, man. I've never been a quitter. And, just kind of having that mindset, that, whatever it is, I'm just going to fight through it. There's going to be better days. This will pass, that'll pass. Just keep going. And I swear I'm not crying. Just keep going, man. Just keep fighting. And you never know what'll happen, what'll end up on the other side. And I think God has just had a plan for me. If he didn't, I still wouldn't be here. I'm in my 5th year, hopefully going into my 2nd year start. And then 2-3 years ago, I was typing on my resume, seeing, what I wanted to do after football, So just having this opportunity, even if, it doesn't go as planned, just having this opportunity, man, to continue to do the sport that I love and to continue to have that wrestling and that fighting mindset has just taken me so far in life, and I hope it takes me farther. So, yeah, that's all I got.
Thanks, dude.
Awesome. Marcus, thank you very much for sharing that with us. Really, really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Y'all have a good one.
Wow, that's a quality young man there, folks, but he's a Buckeye too and love it. So that'll be it for interviews today. Just those two guys and coach. I know I mentioned on Wednesday, I think it was, about